No more auction block for me, no more, no more, no more auction block for me, many 1,000 gone, no more.
Plunk your ass.
Okay, are you coming to this Occupy Toronto?
Hey!
The United States is the United States. Great Masonic experiment.
Yeah. And how does it feel to be back in the country?
It's nice down here. Like it's the weather itself, the cold dampness is very reminder of the first day.
Here we are at Occupy. There's the odd person that was here last year, but there's a lot of people that have come in from other places. I just kind of want to get a feel for what was Occupy, at least so far.
Like, give us another memory.
Specific memory?
Yeah.
I was on the gazebo on the 18th, and I met someone, and we're still together after many years.
Oh, an Aki romance.
That's my favorite memory.
Aki romance.
Argentine solution is famous.
Well, interest. I think interest-free is the key.
Well, Argentine bonds are interest-free. That's the whole point. They're the only working model we've had in recent history.
If the government were to fix the Bank of Canada, If. Well, I mean, it's not that big an if, John. We did it before the 1970s.
It is that big an if when it's a lot easier explained to people as just taking bonds in their pay. Unions can demand that.
Well, you know, you're talking unions. Now you're getting into socialism.
Oh, don't
Come on, you know as well as I do.
Getting unions involved and demanding to be paid with bonds is socialism.
And on top of it, how many Canadians? What's the percentage of Canadians work for the unions?
Geez, who cares? Let's start with them getting paid with bonds. The others will join fast enough.
What's your name and your involvement with Occupy?
Oh, my name's Jeff, and I'm doing an art project today. It's just an artistic representation of the time lapse of today, but in a canvas format. Curious to see whether or not people would paint cohesively together as a picture, or if they would paint their own personal. So maybe it'll start like this, and it'll evolve, hopefully, into maybe a cohesive painting.
Well, there's no hockey, so I thought I'd put the stick to use. I got thrown out of here last year. Yeah.
Oh, were you camped out?
Yeah.
May I take a picture of your sign?
Sure, you can show, absolutely.
Any specific change that influenced the mandate today?
Well, it's still about the 1% versus the 99%. So yeah, you know, tax the rich and start building some homes for the poor.
Yes.
Let's get poverty taken care of, and that ain't gonna happen as long as the elite becomes ultra elite.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
You're welcome. Take care.
Like, this is not right.
What's the story today?
Nothing yet. It's all pretty quiet so far.
Yeah.
Well, I'm collecting anything that happens to be a story, but since it's the first anniversary, that's story enough at this point. I mean, it's a minor little voiceover at this point, so it's more for our late night.
The occupiers here today that I've spoken to say there's no plans to stay overnight. They do plan to leave the park at 11 o'clock.
I'm going where the weather suits my clothes. I'm going where the weather suits my clothes.
It went from being big groups of people making decisions together to being, it got whittled down over the winter to small groups of people sitting in rooms on opposite sides of the table yelling at each other until basically most of the street element was gone. Now you've got the professional activists have basically totally taken over in most of the in a lot of the Occupy groups and are doing a whole hell of a lot of nothing. So it's like, oh, working class people and poor people and First Nations people are welcome in the movement so long as they act, talk, and dress just like us. And have a top-down hierarchical structure and a clear leadership and all this other stuff that they insist was absolutely essential, and to us it was anathema. Which is why you've got a relatively small number of people here, because a lot of the people who should really be the core of it felt like they were unwelcome by people who were not even really a part of it when it comes right down to it. I was there from the beginning. I want to see it back to being a working class, a leaderless working class movement. I keep clinging to it in the hopes that eventually the activistocrats will get bored and move on, so that working class people can take it back and it can be back to what it's supposed to be, and back to trying to challenge a financial system that's so fundamentally evil that it seems to own its opponents.
Now tell us about the flag here.
It's an upside down Canadian flag which symbolizes a country in distress.
What's your problem with the country?
That we're run by a financial fascist.
Now, what about the people whose feelings are hurt by this? There's a lot of Canadians that are, proud of the country and proud of their flag. And
it's not disrespecting the flag. I have no problem with the country. The country's in distress.
I'm going down that old dusty road. I'm going down that old dusty road. I'm going down that old dusty road. Oh Lord, and I ain't gonna be treated this way.
You know, this is where Occupy made me so mad last year. It was a distraction. The 99% was a distraction because the Arab Spring was about arresting all these dictators. In Canada, we didn't even talk about how government was corrupt. So this is why we're here today, and we really want to push Occupy Canada on the Arrest Harper scene. I've been an activist since 2002. I lived on a reserve for 8 years, and I've learned clearly that our history books have lied. We've been dummied down. I learned while on the reserve and seeing massive human rights abuses and hearing stories from the people and the elders that our government has been very bad, murderous to the point. And this is why we say genocide. And I believe if the media hadn't have been protecting and promoting the New World Order and their agenda, and us greedy consumer gluttons just to go on with life and ignore that there's like even homeless people in the streets, So we've been dummied down a lot, and I'm really upset with the media.
Yes. Well, what did you think of that lady's story?
It's very sad,
What are the chances of using that? Any of that?
At the end of the day, it's up to the producers and everything, but I mean,
I'll pay my tax for Army and police to handle strife. Will you? I'll pay my tax for doctors, nurses who protect my life. Will you? I'll pay my tax for all engaged repairing road and sewer. Will you? I'll pay my tax for social servants helping out the poor. Will you? I'll even pay my tax for bureaucrats with no regret. I only object to paying tax for interest on debt. Isn't that a good one?
Mic check! Mic check! Come on, guys, I can't hear you! Mic check! Mic check! This is the choir! This is the choir! If you would like to see it, please come over here! Please come over here!
Let's be standing that side.
Así cantar, no más y vos, así dice Turuleko. Así cantar, no más y vos, así dice Turuleko.
The Occupy chapter is closed?
No.
I don't think so.
Like in some senses, I think you could call the Occupy movement a failure, like in the sense that, it really isn't going on anymore. But I think it is ultimately going to lead to more things, like the connections that we made and the new things that we're building.
I see it going on.
But
so I'll say the goal was achieved, and now we're moving on into the future of this movement, which is not labeled Occupy.
Yeah,
right?
Things like the free school, that came out of Occupy initially. Now it's its own thing, and it's attracting people that weren't ever here, and it's educating people and spreading knowledge Well, one thing that really struck me today, like reflecting and talking to all these people and having these conversations, being back in this space with all the people that were there, is the incredible amount of energy that people brought to this movement, earnestly wanting to build a better world, and the passion that we all had when we first showed up here. And that desire and that passion is not gone. You know, all the same problems that brought us here still exist in the world, and we all still, everybody that I talked to today, feel as urgently that we need a better world. So as long as that's the case, and as long as there are so many people out there who support us and who just haven't hooked into the movement yet, this movement can't be killed. Just keep going.
I think that St. James... No more auction